Well, basically, we wanted to meet this morning just to make sure that the public was aware of a lot of the new laws and legislation that came in this year from the state legislature, and wanted to give an opportunity to, if you have any questions, so that we can answer those questions as to, and Chief Vasquez is with us, so that you can ask questions of him as to the police involvement and then as to the court. But mainly we do want the people to know about a lot of the new laws that are in effect. We've given you a list that just covers some of these that we think are some of the more important laws that people out here will need to know. If you begin with our legislation, and we try to look at it as to the effective date, and the legislature did pass a new law that went into effect immediately that requires us to do non-disclosure orders on all juvenile cases under the age of 17. And what this means is that if a child is convicted of an offense, and not all offenses, but offenses other than CHINs, which are children in need of supervision, then those convictions will have a court order that will be sent to Austin that will notify DPS that no criminal agencies can release any information upon that conviction of that child. And there's a big discussion all over the state of Texas. Does this include traffic? Does it not include traffic? Does it include like non-compliance of school attendance cases? So there's still a lot of issues to be worked out on this, but we have begun sending all cases that have convictions to DPS, and then they are to notify all the criminal agencies that they cannot release this information. It's kind of like going back to the rule that we used to have of sealed records for juveniles. And so this information, you will not be able to obtain certain information. Some of the other laws that we have are the burning offenses, that if you have offenses for burning certain substances in certain counties, the first offense would be a Class C, but after that it would be a county charge and be filed as a Class B. Criminal trespass change in the law, and this has to do with recreational vehicle park or buildings within 100 feet of the boundary of land or protected freshwater area. That makes it illegal for people like on rivers to get off on property that is private property. And so people do need to be aware of that. That law actually originated because of some issues down in the San Marcos area, but it is a statewide law. Window tinting, installers have to place labels on there to make sure that the window tinting is in compliance with the state law. Senate Bill 935 now provides that municipal court judges will perform or can perform marriages, and municipal judges all over the state now will be allowed to perform marriages. Public intoxication of children, House Bill 558. It now puts the jurisdiction of intoxication cases for children under the age of 17 into municipal court. It takes it out of the juvenile probation and the county court and places it with municipal court. So we're going to have to start handling those type of cases. PD will have to start handling that differently, and there have to be some procedural changes on that. I know everyone's heard of House Bill 55, which is the cell phone use in school zones. Any school zones that have a sign placed there that say no cell phone or cell phones restricted, it is a violation for you to use a cell phone in that school zone that is not a hands-free. And so make sure that you look at the around the area, and of course the best way to do that is just if you go through a school zone, just do not use your cell phone. There were some requirement changes in driver's education for teen drivers, extending the period of time and also requiring teenage drivers under the age of 18 to all be tested before they are allowed to get their driver's license. Senate Bill 1967 removed the requirement for the $10,000 minimum health insurance for them not to wear a helmet, and just insurance companies will provide proof of insurance to persons at least 21 years of age who are covered by health insurance. One of the big factors that came out in Senate Bill 1967 is that if you have an accident, failure to deal right away, and a collision is involved and there's bodily injury to the other person, then the minimum fine for a failure to deal right away ticket is now $500. That's a $500 to a $2,000 fine. And if the person in the other vehicle receives serious bodily injury and you're charged for failure to deal right away, the minimum fine is $1,000 and can be up to $4,000. So right now, people have an accident, it's fair deal right away, and somebody gets hurt pretty bad, it's a maximum fine of $200. So as you can see, if they're just injured at all, it's going to be a minimum $500 fine. If they're seriously injured, it's going to be a fine of up to $4,000. So that's going to change drastically. Seat belts, I know that this has had a lot of publicity all over. Everyone must have seat belts on in the vehicles. And there's some different age groups in there as to when the driver can be charged for a person under 15 not having a seat belt on. Above age 15, any person in the vehicle can get the citation for not having that on. And also on a motorcycle, you may not carry another person unless that person is at least 5 years of age on a motorcycle, and the fine on that is from $100 to $200. House Bill 586, defendants can produce proof of financial insurance in 6 months increments. The change on this is that the law before required 2-year prepaid policy. If you have a vehicle and you got 2 tickets for not having liability insurance, then you had to have 2 years prepaid policy in order to get your vehicle out of impoundment. And the state law only allowed 1 year, so you had to get a 1 year and then a second 1 year. Now the law has changed to where you have to get 6 month liability insurance policy at a time for a 2-year period of time. So it's still 2 years, but you only have to do it every 6 months. House Bill 3095, disabled parking placards. It defines the difference in the blue placards, the red placards. But the big change on that is that the minimum fine for parking in a handicap zone is now $500. So that's a first offense. It's $500 to $750 fine. If you get a second offense, it's $550 to $800 plus 10 hours community service work. If you get a third offense, it's a minimum $500 to an $800 fine plus 20 to 30 hours community service work. If you have 4 tickets, it's $800 to $1,000 fine with 50 hours community service work. And if you get your 5th ticket, it's $1,250 plus 50 hours community service work. So I think the thing there is do not park in handicap zones unless you have a handicap placard. I think it'd be very important. There's a change in the child safety seat, Senate Bill 61, that changes the age and height of a child. When they must be in a car safety seat, they have to be, in order not to be in a booster seat or a child safety seat, they have to be at least 8 years of age. And then they have to be at least 8 years of age not to be in a car safety seat, and they must be at least 4 foot 9 inches tall. So I guess PD will have to get their tapes out again and measure in order for this to happen. But it's 4 foot 9. If they're under 4 foot 9, if they're under 8 years of age, then they have to be in a car safety seat. Okay. Those are most of the main ones. We have a lot of other laws that we put on here, so if y'all have any questions about those, then we'll be glad to talk to y'all about those individually.
I was hoping you could kind of talk about how the child safety seat one, people can get stopped, but like we were talking about earlier, they can't get ticketed until June of 2010?
I'm going to have to look see if that's June or July. Is it June? Yeah, it's June of 2010. They'll receive a warning up till that period of time. This is to give everyone an opportunity to go out and buy the car seats, to make the adjustment, but they will receive warning from police officers up until that period of time.
And all the other laws, though, starting tomorrow, if you make an offense, you will be ticketed starting tomorrow, though?
That's right. Most of the laws go in effect on September the 1st. Not all of them. As you saw, the non-disclosure order went in effect in May. We have some other laws that went in effect June the 1st, some went in effect July 1st, some went in effect in August. But I believe that all the laws that we've talked about now, other than non-disclosure, all go in effect on September 1.
Okay. I had a question about law enforcement. Is there going to be kind of like more law enforcement like at school zones or something like that starting September 1st, like for the cell phones or anything like that?
We're not going to do any type of increased enforcement on that any more than what we do. I mean, we already put officers in the school zones. Our traffic safety program has officers in the school zones. So we will spend as much time as we do now in school zones, except we will monitor also this offense as well as the speeding.